Hi, I am Aydin Turkgucu. Before preparing this video as a simulation universe designer, I reviewed some comments from Sunday supplement of a newspaper. I offered my congratulations and thanks to all of them for their inspiring methods and comments which ensured me to see details such as Machine God, which I had for. In October 1998, I published my second book, I Am Ready, Let It Begin, in which I told the virtual reality in holobooks, the simulation universe design, and its areas of use. I went on to tell the details of simulation training such as Heirs to books, Holy Loneliness, Stage of Nothingness, Mental Apocalypse, Figurines of System, Virtual God, Paradox of God, in my books that I subsequently published in Turkish and English. As a simulation designer, I have been sharing my comments on Matrix-4, which was published in 1999, 1 year after I published I Am Ready, Let It Begin, in my books and on my many platforms. Despite they defined the virtual reality fabulously in Matrix-1, Wachowski brothers stuck to the reality of previous level and could not pass beyond a fight that was based on power guns. This unfortunately continued also in Matrix 2 and Matrix 3. The chance that Heirs to book training in the second stage of simulation training will become a current issue 23 years after I brought it up really excited me. I will soon prepare and share with you a separate video related to Heirs to book, or the system I referred to in details in my books. If you remember, in her talk with Neo, the Oracle summarized the reason why he was in Matrix by saying, "You made the decision to come here in the first place, and you came to understand the reason for that decision." I disagree with this opinion, because it will make no sense to understand a decision made at very beginning. I too believe we decide to come, but the reason we are here is to prove we are the people who will abide by that decision. Simulation trainings are designed in a way to measure this. Think of it this way. The reason why pilots are trained in simulation planes is to see if they will be able to fly real planes under any weather condition and in case of any malfunction. The logic is quite simple. The real is not entrusted to those who are not successful in simulation. The first difference that draws attention in the trailer with blue and red pills, which is content of the pills and digital. Everything you eat and drink in simulations is digital and does not exist in reality. Since the pills offered are digital, first, events will take place in Matrix no matter what digital pill is chosen. Second, the place where the pills are chosen is actually also in the Matrix. There is no place as outside of the Matrix. Another catchy difference about the pills is the direction of the digital movement in them. If you recall, there was only one way downward information flow on the green screens of the previous parts, which represented the one-way digital data sent to the Matrix to shape the scenes in the Matrix. The right information flow seen also on the green screens of the Matrix. This symbolizes the descending information going towards its source and access to the higher knowledge. This access given only to heirs to the system shows that in the Matrix-4, Neo will take a training programming the Matrix. Also for the digital pills, they were placed vertically to show the access to higher knowledge. Since the Matrix is a simulation universe, if it was for me, I would start the digital pills in plus position, then make them vertical, and then finish with the mark plus again. In the end, the only transaction that computers know is addition. Everything in simulation is the temporary virtual reality occurring as a result of addition. As is understood by its colors, the second trailer starts in the Matrix, and Neo is under hypnosis. The movement of Neo's left hand on his left knee shows that he is nervous. The doctor's simultaneous word of, "You look very nervous, tell me what you see," are the kind of questions hypnosis operators ask to understand what people under hypnosis see. With someone wearing a square ring on his right hand snapping his fingers, the hypnosis ends. This ring is not seen on the fingers of any character in the trailer. So you naturally ask who the real hypnotist is. This scene seems to be a good example for simulation training, with the doctor and patient being under hypnosis at the same time, and getting out of hypnosis with a split-second difference. In the meantime, can the person in the mirror and the person behind the hypnotist be the same person? When the dream center of the brain creates a simulation universe we call dream using the electrochemical signals it receives and wake us up in it, our dream starts. At the stage where the electrochemical signals to the brain's dream center are sold and dreams could not be programmed, you start to have dreams that are not dreams only. In simulations, which are the sort of dreams, only the place and those you communicate with are active and the rest is passive. While the expression of "I had a dream that was not only a dream" is on the screen, Neo appears in a scene which seems like a real world, even its colors are blurred. While his right hand is open, he clenches his fist to become ready for a fight, and then the scene turns to one that composed of green digital codes of Matrix. Neo, with the uneasiness of feeling himself again in the Matrix, takes fighting position instinctively. A good example of waking up in simulation and scene shift. If you may remember, he also clenched his fist when he was under hypnosis before the doctor. From the position of the left hand in two scenes, we understand that Neo is under hypnosis and in the scene. Immediately after, we see Neo on his own in a classic Matrix scene. Then the place where Neo stepped on, some parts of the building on his right, and the luminous parts of the buildings he's facing that may be seen from far gets activated, turn to their natural colors to get real. With all other areas being in digital green code, we understand that Neo is looking towards his right and slightly straightforward. Then the new scene starting with passing through the digital worm or rabbit hole, we see a good execution of the only the place where you are and those with you are active. The rest is passive. Rule for the living creatures. The software of the man who is in passive status and looking downwards at the beginning of the scene senses the movement with Neo entering the scene, and the activation process starts. Deus ex machina, written on the back wall, means machine god. Seeing the concept of virtual god, which I have brought up for years, in the Matrix-4, really excited me. Virtual God is the name of the artificial intelligence-based universe machine created by humans, which offers humans possibility of living in reality-based simulation universes, and it is like the God of the virtual universes. Paradox means unverifiable statement. In the saying of "the only thing I know is that I know nothing" of Socrates, the fact that there is something he actually knows is a good example of paradox. The paradox of reality in simulations is the stage of unverifiable reality which starts with a very simple question. If we give an example through the Matrix, in the Matrix first, Neo, who is taken out of the Matrix and is said, "Welcome to real world. This is outside the Matrix. Before you lived in the simulation which the Matrix loaded in your brain," should have said this. Okay, but how am I supposed to be sure of the reality of this ship, Zion, and you all? Couldn't this be an escape scenario which is created outside the system only to stall those who questions the system as I do? Unfortunately, this question was not asked in the first 3 parts. Returning to the place where everything was started, the Matrix is the explicit expression of the fact that everything up to date has taken place in the Matrix, and there is nowhere else to go. Is it not? Think this way. You have memories in your mind about Trinity, which you cannot differ if they are dream or real. When you meet Trinity, these memories get the possibility of reality. Talents that are made forgotten by changing the memory are talents that may get activated automatically when relevant settings are created. Since Trinity does not remember what she lived with you, you have to try by creating settings where Trinity will be able to activate her forgotten abilities, such as excellent motorbike riding, excellent weapon use, martial arts, which she is able to do. Not now, but in your memories. It seems that in the Matrix-4, Neo, who previously brought back Trinity, whose physical body had died, to life, will make Trinity, whose memory was changed, to refresh her memory. This is how I interpret the gunfight scenes involving Trinity also. More than one Trinity in this scene symbolizes Trinity's liberation from the different pasts loaded in her brain as she used her talents that were made forgotten. Neo's word of dreams that are not dreams only shows that also Neo was not initially able to be sure of his memories. His dreams are realized as he also is able to do what he lives in his dreams. Trinity and he wake up together. In this scene, Neo, who sees that Trinity has a digital structure, will have to accept inevitably that the possibility of the actual being of Matrix from the beginning and the possibility of everyone except him, including Trinity, being the digital puppets of the Matrix. Despite Trinity remembers everything from this moment, Neo will make a forced entry to the period I call mental apocalypse, where he does not have a chance to understand who is real and who is virtual in the Matrix. Stage of nothingness is not the stage where you are nothing, but where everything except you loses its meaning and become nothing. You cannot verify whether people around you, including your closest loved ones, act on their own will or others' instructions. You take people around you more seriously, but you cannot fall in love or love to death. The odds of being with a digital puppet prevents this. If you manage to reach to this stage I define as holy loneliness, then it means that you started to live in the hell of the mental apocalypse stage. I think that the young Morpheus, who represents the previous reality and feelings, saying that the only thing that matters for you is still here. I know that the reason why you are still fighting and not giving up is she. Neo's word of, "You don't know me," are intended for emphasizing that the Matrix is not able to know everything beforehand, and that you cannot act other than expected. Throwing the blue pills, which represent the reality, feelings, and divinity of the initial training in the sink, and Neo completely destroying the young Morpheus and the place of the completion of the initial training. If you may remember, the movement of the digital information in the red pills was upward to represent the access to higher knowledge. Morpheus invites Neo to the training to heirs to books using the red pill, and Neo desperately accepts it. I interpret this scene in the elevator as the Neo's authority of seeing also the simulation universes in the other stages of Matrix. In simulations, you can select one of characters offered to you as your symbol, and you can complete V8. And the person in the mirror may be the contestant competing through Neo. In simulations, you can make time travel into the future or past of everyone, including yours. Could it be the young Neo who is pointing the gun to Neo in this scene? I think that the woman with the white rabbit tattoo, and who also represents Eve, actually represents Lana Wachowski. The woman with the white rabbit tattoo has two colored hair in Matrix-4, while she had one colored hair in Matrix First. Just like Lana Wachowski, by saying, "You should watch me if you want to learn the truth." The woman with white rabbit tattoo invites not only Neo, but also the audiences to second-level simulation training. Another clue that Neo is in the heirs to the system training in his power to get behind the mirror. If you may remember in previous parts, behind the mirror was forbidden to everyone, including Neo. Morpheus had Neo try, but Neo could not be able to make it. While in Matrix-4, the young Morpheus again cannot pass behind the mirror. Neo enters in the Matrix from behind the mirror. If you consider the worldly life as a mirror that shows you to you, then behind the mirror is the space of those who administer the world simulation. As I have mentioned in my books, those who cannot get out of mental mazes cannot design a mental maze. The heirs to the system who will take designer training to write the new versions of simulation should find one of the exist in mental maze of the Matrix in the ambiguity of the holy loneliness and mental apocalypse stages. When I saw the maze pictures in the beginning of the Matrix-4 trailer, I said to myself that how the maze issue was treated. The butterflies in Matrix-4 reminded me butterflies I told about in the pages 178 to 183 of my last book, Virtual God, The Beginning, and I shared in my video titled Quantum Jumping and Illusions, Is Quantum Jumping the Proof of the Simulation, in my YouTube channel. You can read related pictures of my book or watch from the 11 minutes and 13 seconds of the video. However, to completely understand my theory with all reasons, it will be useful for you to watch the entire video. The two butterflies in the wall being in two different frames, as if representing two different film frames in the Matrix-4, is the fact that the half of the view of the scene with butterflies being dark a reflection of the dark transition due to necessity of screen refreshing between the two butterfly frames. We will find out all of this when the film is released in December. I noticed that the quantum jumping was the proof of the fact that we lived in a simulation universe, and I shared the details in my last book, Virtual God, The Beginning, and in my YouTube video titled Quantum Jumping, The Proof that we are in a simulation. And I used the working principle of projections to show the connection between the quantum jumping and the simulation. The interesting part is that I am very excited by seeing the similar projections in the Matrix-4. I am waiting the movie to be released impatiently. The infinity symbol on the seam of Trinity's metal wristband, which looks like the array of DNA nucleotides or a handcuff, caught my attention. Does it represent breaking of a DNA-based link in mortal human soul and mortal body? Was it used for emphasizing the projects such as 2045 that had been started to transfer the human soul to a machine and ensure the eternal life? In the page 212 of my book Virtual God, The Beginning, and in my social media publications, I said that having always the same feelings and thoughts, medicines or chemicals taken continuously physically change the certain centers of the human brain, which changes the thoughts and behaviors. Furthermore, I said that the physical change would deprive you or your free will, and that the happy and unhappy periods should be planned in balance in the simulation universe design for the physical brain not to change. When I heard the lines of "one pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small" at the beginning of the Matrix-4 trailer song, I thought an emphasis was made on the fact the relevant centers of the brain got larger or smaller by the pills. The description of "feed your head" for what needs to be done when things out of control in the Matrix-4 trailer song caught my attention. Years ago in the research I made on what is the most important thing to be asked from God, I gave the advice of "Lord, increase me in knowledge" from the verse 114 of Surah. When he was asked why he prayed for those who had killed him, Jesus saying, "They wouldn't do it if they knew what I knew," emphasized the importance of knowledge. In the meantime, I started the golden knowledge era, where knowledge was as valuable as gold in 2014 by saying, "The knowledge in the system is very close to the knowledge of creating the system." This is the simulation universe's era, where there is no time and space. In the scene where Neo was under hypnosis within the Matrix, the lighting over his head similar to famous yellow M of McDonald's was caught my attention immediately. I thought if McDonald's sponsored Matrix-4 and made a hidden advertisement to be the first restaurant to open branch in the Matrix. When I saw the scene in which Neo and Trinity jumped from the roof in the Matrix-4, I remembered the scene from the game in which Michael Douglas jumping from the skyscraper, and from Vanilla Sky in which Tom Cruise jumping from a sky-colored skyscraper. In all three films, the man and woman in leading roles are on the roof. In the Matrix-4, Neo and Trinity jumps together, while in the others, only the male characters jump. There is something different with the cat in the Matrix-4. If you may remember, the cat in the Deja Vu scene did not have a collar on his neck. This black cat has a collar with a pendant. The pendant on the collar of the black cat in the trailer reminded me the pendant having a galaxy inside thereof on the collar of the black cat in Men in Black. Those who watched Men in Black will know there was a pendant which had a galaxy in it on the collar of the cat in Men in Black. For what purpose the black cat in the Matrix-4 was made to wear this pendant or collar? Could there be a purpose of using the pendant as in Men in Black? We will be able to see when we watch the movie. If, in the Matrix-4, the training is not proceeded to heirs to the system at the second step of the simulation I mentioned in this video, and no information is provided beyond the already given in released movies, then all expenses made for shooting this movie will be for nothing. I referred the subject of heirs to books in the back cover and in the group test section in the introduction of my book Virtual God, Last Exit Before God, as follows. If you are happy with your present God, if the life is not unbearable enough for you and you are not bored enough, you are in the group that has come to be deciphered and you don't need to ascend to the sky. Please do not force. If you enjoy watching films such as Truman Show, Dark City, Contact, Devil's Advocate, Matrix series, Fifth Element, Nostradamus, Total Recall, Stargate, What the Bleep Do We Know, An Inconvenient Truth, Doom, Cube, Ghost, Flatliners, Jeanne d'Arc, Braveheart, Gladiator, Star Trek, Secret, etc. If you feel wild longings, wild sensations from deep down which pull you in when you read or listen to something about the space and God, and you are traveling on Earth in vain, and it is time for you to take mental safari trips free of today's reality in the space. Check Virtual God Last Exit Before God, page 9. Hoping to meet you soon in new videos. So long for now.